I appreciate you guys being here. Man, time flies. It wasn't that long ago we finished playing, and now we're back at it again. So we're awful excited. I know our kids are tired of practicing. They're tired of beating on one another. So they're ready to go play a game. I think it's just that's the way it is this time of year. But we're excited about the opportunity, playing an awfully good football team. Obviously our first FBS opponent, and I think even more so locally, playing a team that a lot of our kids know their kids and vice versa, and something I know our kids have been looking forward to. I'm sure they have as well. So we're excited about it to go out and fight. The thing about the first game is there's a lot of unknowns. This is not the 2017 team, this is the 2018 team. We don't know the identity and how this is going to unfold in the next 3 or 4 weeks. We'll figure it out, and we'll start Thursday night and find out a little bit about who we are and what we're about and how we can move forward. So looking forward to it, excited about it, and I'll open the floor for any questions.
Can you talk about what challenges they represent athletically, size, speed, that kind of things you always hear in the comparisons, FCS, FBS?
Yeah, they're really athletic. They're long guys that can run, really athletic, especially offensively when you look at their skill kids and their receivers. They're really good with the ball in space. It's I think anytime it's a challenge, when you're facing a team that's got some really athletic kids, and they do. So, the challenge is, I think it's as much Kennesaw State, can we go out and play the best of our ability and minimize, the self-inflicted wounds and give ourselves an opportunity. I think when you look at first games, when you watch them, you're going to see a lot of that. I was watching the other night, and there was 20 penalties before the fourth quarter began. And so there's things you have to do to make sure that we take care of our business and do it to the best of our abilities, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they're very athletic. They run well. They're big. They do some really good things, and they're coming off a lot of positive things for themselves as well with winning a bowl game and Coach Elliott, what he's done changing that culture. So it's gonna be a good ball game.
What team have you played in the past would you say is most like this one as a comparison?
I don't know if there's really necessarily a comparison. They run around a little bit on defense like the Jacksonville State crowd we played. I mean, they're really good on defense. They run, they're big, they're really athletic. I mean, their skill on offense, some of those skilled wide receivers remind you a little bit of some of those guys at Sam Houston State that ran by us a bunch. So, I mean, I think it just depends on different pieces of it. But they're Georgia State, and so we're going to have to go play awfully well to give ourselves an opportunity.
Coach, it is a different buzz, though, because it's kind of like the I-75 battle, Georgia State, Kennesaw State. Just your thoughts. I know it's the first game of the season. The excitement is going around the city a little bit about this type of game.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great way to start the year. I think for both fan bases, it creates a little bit of a buzz, like you said. I think it's a positive thing. And like I said, I know our kids are excited. I guarantee you their kids are excited, and I think that's what it's about. And two teams that are fairly close and the Atlanta area, metro Atlanta area, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great deal, and hopefully it'll be a great crowd and it'll be a good game.
Well, so last time I talked to you, Coach, you said that you weren't sure who Georgia State was going to play at quarterback yet, and with that possibility still lurking with 3 different quarterbacks, how is game planning and practice a little different than stuff that you've been accustomed to in the past?
Well, I mean, they got a starter listed and they may play a couple guys, but ultimately you go get ready for what they've done in the past or what possibly they may do, and that's a little bit of first games, And when you get in the game, you kind of get in a rhythm of who's doing what, how they're trying to attack stuff, and you have to make adjustments. And I think with the first game, a lot of times that's the case regardless. You don't have any, you have tape from a year ago, but you don't have anything from the last week. So that makes the first game a little more interesting in itself. There's always a lot of unknowns. So our preparation, is the same as theirs. We go look at everything they have and try to come up with a good plan to give ourselves a chance to be successful.
A couple of weeks ago, practice hadn't been going the way you wanted it. Last week you said it was ratcheting up around 7 or 8. How are we going into Thursday?
It's been positive since we, I guess it was a week ago Monday. It really had picked back up. The guys' attention to detail and focus have been better. I think the closer we've gotten the game, I think the excitement's growing for these guys. And so it's been positive. I don't know that you're ever ready to play the first game. I'm not like all the first practice and the first this, it's always all the unknowns, so, and all the things, especially in the first game, you're trying to get ready for everything that a season would bring, but you're trying to get ready for it for game one. And so there's a lot of things you're trying to at least get identified and touched on so that if it shows up, you're prepared for it. But our attitude and has been good at practice. It's been positive.
You are in a different situation. You do know who your starting quarterback is. And going in with Chandler, going into this game, and having him be an assistant for a while, how does that help you going into Thursday?
Well, I think it helps. He's played, and like any other kid that's played for us a bunch, it obviously helps. But I tell our guys all the time, man, just because you did something last year, it don't mean you're going to do it this year. Just because things went your way, maybe, but it's not guaranteed. There's nothing guaranteed in life, and there's nothing guaranteed in this game. You got to go work your tail off every day to prepare yourself to be the best player you can be, and I think Chandler and everybody's got to do that, regardless of maybe what happened in the past. There's no question you can't replace experience. You know what I mean? And we got a lot of young guys going to play Thursday night. You can't replace experience, but I think everybody has to approach it the same way in order to get the outcome they want.
You talked a lot last year about player-led team, and of course you have all these OGs. How much have those guys been helpful in the development of some of these young players?
I think it's been positive. I think it's some more positive than others at times. But I think those guys have been here. They understand the expectation. They understand what has worked and what has given us a chance to be successful. And I think they got to continue to lead. And then I think we got to have other guys start to step up. Even some young guys. You don't have to be a senior to lead. You know what I mean? I think the first thing you have to do is lead by example, and your peers will respect you. And then obviously your voice is going to mean a lot more when you do that. So, we're expecting a lot out of the older group, the OGs, and then, we're going to have some young guys coming along. I think for the first time, truthfully, probably since our first year here, you're going to start to see a lot of different faces show up as the season goes on, as you're kind of blending the old with the new, if that makes sense, with the OGs who most people know, and then you're going to have some new faces show up as this thing goes.
On those both lines, OGs last time around, you said there's like 18 left. Have you kind of had a little conversation, pulled them aside as far as, this is your last go around, make the most of it, or anything along those lines?
No, they know that. I think they understand where they are and the opportunity they have before them. I think, we had some success last year. I think that gave them a little bit of taste of that, and that I think there's some unfinished business for those guys, and I think they're going to work as hard as they can to hopefully finish. So it's nothing that's been said. Those guys, they understand. I usually get them together when I need to make sure that they're leading the right way and doing everything, because I think sometimes they forget how many kids are watching them on a daily basis. Not just, but I'm talking about all day, every day. There's kids watching them, and the way they go about their business is so impactful to carry on the legacy that they wanted to leave here for years to come. And I think that's a really important thing that I've tried to communicate with them.
Congratulations on the contract extension. How important was that for you to go ahead and get that out the way and keep ready to let the Owl Nation know you'll be here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said that from day one. As long as we're committed on both ends, that I wanted to be here, and I've stated that for my very first press conference here, and very appreciative of everybody involved in that. But it's a body of work. You know what I mean? It's just not me. It's a body of work, and I've always said that, and our kids and our staff and everybody involved, and it's game week, and I'm appreciative, but I'm ready. We're focused on getting ready to go hopefully play the best we can on Thursday night.
And what are your thoughts on a player like Penny Hart, who is Obviously, Georgia State's #1 receiver, and he ranks #1 right now in FBS receivers and receiving yards. What are your kind of thoughts about him and how you kind of game plan against a player of that caliber?
I think you just said it. You know what I mean? You go look at the stats and everything that he's done and accomplished. He's a really, really good player. He's a dynamic playmaker, you know, and he's a guy you got to be aware of. You know, I mean, he makes plays. He's a really good player, and all the stats really speak for the kind of player he is. So, I mean, shoot, he's going to get his. I mean, he's a good player, you know, but I think obviously we're aware of who he is. But, you know, they got a lot of good players. And so, you know, you got to defend more than just one guy. And they got a lot of good players, but his stats definitely speak volumes for him as a player. There's no question about that.
You know, you always said that each year your job is to go out recruit the previous class. And considering this is the last go around for the original class, you look at the defense, you know, Travis Bell, freshman, you know, and look on the 2 deep, you know, Markeith Montgomery, freshman, of course Bryson Perry and Bryson Armstrong are sophomores. It's really kind of a young defensive unit overall. Can you kind of, especially the freshmen, Travis and Markeith, be given the nod? Can you talk a little bit about the youth and what it's bringing to the defense?
So, you know, the final 2 deep, when everything's niced up, you'll probably have, including specialists, you'll have 14 freshmen or redshirt freshmen in the 2 deep. There'll be other guys that aren't freshmen that have never played for us. And you mentioned one like Bryson Perry and some of those guys that are a little bit older but haven't played for us. When I said the old and the new, that's exactly what I meant. It's a unique season for us. There's a lot more youth than you realize. I know a lot of people say, hey, we got these guys coming back, but we got a lot of young guys that are going to play for us. We could possibly have more true freshmen playing for us than since our first year here. Obviously, the new rule will impact that a little bit as well, where you have the ability to play in 4 games and still be redshirted. But we'll have some young guys play as well. Travis was redshirted last year. Obviously excited about his development. Excited to go see him play. Markeith's a true freshman. Whether he starts or not, we'll see, but he'll definitely play. He'll definitely play for us as a freshman. And there's a bunch of others. You know, if I pull the thing out right now, there's a bunch of other guys that are young guys that are going to play. And that's unique for us a little bit because, you know, we kind of got a lot of that out of the way the first year, you know, and the recruiting's kind of been interesting. It's been good. You know, the first year we signed a big class. The second year, if you guys remember, we signed a lot of transfers to kind of get some age. So there's a little gap from year 1 to year 3, if that makes sense. There's a gap in there. So we're trying to bridge that gap a little bit just because we had to take a lot of older kids in that second class to kind of get us going. So we're trying to bring some young ones along, and that's really what you're going to see a little bit. Excited about seeing those guys play for the first time. I think, you know, that's what, again, it's scary and it's exciting, you know, but I'm really excited to see. I mean, you go across the defense, Andrew Butcher hadn't played football in 2 years. You know, Charlie Patrick, transfer from Georgia State, is going to start for us. Both the corners will have not played for us. You know, we moved Dorian in, and then you got Sincere Mason, who has not played here as well, that also plays. I mean, there's a bunch of spots that, you know, that there's going to be some new faces, and then when you look at the depth, you know, definitely some new faces. So exciting to see how they respond.
How is it to have Bryson Armstrong be able to play in the box and outside the box for you? This week, Georgia State spreads it out 3 wide, tight end. Is it comforting to know you got a guy like that, but if you need to, you just line him in the box at the linebacker, and you also can put him out there in the slide as well?
Yeah, most of what he does will be, you know, outside. But Bryson's just Bryson's been a steady Eddie, just really good football player from day one. And I've told you guys before, you wouldn't know he was even out there on the field. He's just not a talker. He comes to work the same every day. He's, you know, and he's just got a knack for being around the ball. And, you know, obviously last year he had a great year, and I hope he'll continue to build on that. I don't see it changing a whole lot because his demeanor never changes. I mean, he's the same every day, and so encouraged by that. He's going to have to play well for us Thursday night to have a chance to win.
Anything else?
Yeah, all camp, you're talking about trying to find kick and punt returner. Looks like Shaq might be the draw. Is this, was the reason behind that, or is this just the ability to get one of your best players another couple of chances to touch the ball?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing is on a punt returner is catching the ball. I mean, if we don't ever gain a yard and we know we got it, then that's a win. Obviously, you would like to have somebody that can catch it and is also dynamic with the ball, so you can do more than that. So Shaq's doing it. He's done a good job. He's been consistent. Isaac Foster, you also see catching punts as well. So those two guys will catch punts. So we feel, as good as you can be going into a game one about what those guys have done in practice to go and return punts for us Thursday night. Kick returners could be 3 or 4 guys back there: Shaq, T.J. Reed, Darnell Holland, Isaac Foster, and Tavius Greer. Just depending on what's going on, there's 3 or 4 guys back there that can return kicks for us.
One recruiting question. I see there's a hot shot wide receiver up at Etowah making a rise in depth chart. Is he kind of on your radar?
Yeah, he's trying to overcome his parenting. He's talking about my son, who's a 10th grader, but loves the game, having a great time.
Saw him make a nice outcut and pick up his first catch?
First varsity catch.
Yeah, smile on your face.
Yeah.
All right.
No doubt.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.